Yeah,
Well,
and
Edelweiss, I think I was muted the whole time.
well, I
That was a
heard
great
you,
intro, though.
so
Well, thank you. So you can appreciate it. And you and only you were the one who heard that. But we're back here at the Hearthstone World Championship. I'm TJ, joined by Edelweiss. And we got a winner's match ahead of us.
we do, and it is players with the exact same lineup, all 4 decks. And Meati versus Pocket Train, both of course from the UK. They have the same lineup because they practice together. Rectham also, not from the UK, but was in that sort of practice group, coming up with the lineups. Went with different choices just because being in the other group was worried about potentially getting targeted. But Rektham's made it on, and these two are facing off, so one of them's guaranteed. Seems like it's a good practice group to be in.
Very much so, yeah. One of them's going to make it onto that top 4, and then one of them still has that chance tomorrow early in the day to play in that decider matchup to get that second chance to make it into the semifinals. So now Pocket Train's series was a little bit faster, a little bit more dominant than Meati's. But they both ended up taking the win in their series. But I think Pocket Train's full series against CJ was maybe 30 minutes. It was a domination from his point of view.
I'm fairly certain, yes, that it finished before the delay had caught up. So.
Yep. And very short highlights as well from that series. That was it. Those were not highlights. That was just footage of the entire series played backwards. But we're highlighting 2 different decks, but like you said, they both have the same lineups. Here's the Naga Priest. We're just labeling it Pocket Train just because we feel like it, because we're talking about him right now. But we saw that fantastic Thirsty Drifter plus the Power Chord synchronized synergy in that last series that he played to get that massive board very early on. I believe it was turn 6 to snowball to a victory.
Yeah, if you were to look at this list and compare it to the Naga Priests of old, you would be a little bit confused because this doesn't actually have quite as many Naga going on. You know, there's a few in there to get the activations of the Wig, but it really is all about those Thirsty Drifters. You can see just a ton of 1-mana cards, mana refreshes from Funnel Cake and Valish, and of course Pip the Potent to double those 1-cost cards. And then, yeah, going for Drifter synchronized plays, getting that massive board in the mid-game turns.
Pip the Potent. Pippity poppity, the potentopity. Here we go. But talking about Meati, obviously not as great of a year as Pocket Train. His success has come from the grinding that happens outside of the tournaments, and the actual Masters Tours is left a lot to be desired in terms of results. But he's here at the World Championship, and Meati, a lot of respect for Meati as a player. And, you know, one of the premier ladder grinders in the game, and trying to transition that success into, you know, World Championship run, and trying to become that world champion. Oh, and an actual doctor.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit cheeky putting his own, you know, stats of his tournament performance at 38% earlier, but even so, he has been at every single one of these events based on his ladder performance. So still, you know, a strong player in his own right. And yeah, this Dragon Druid, they've gone for, you know, much more consistent, streamlined approach rather than some of these Highlander lists, just opting for getting stats on board like we saw last game, trying to play Splish Splash Whelp into Dragon Golem as consistently as possible, of course with the Snapdragons to buff those up and take advantage of the copies.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty intense curves coming from the Dragon Druids, and that's what you get for playing a consistent version of the list. You're going to hit those powerful cards that you need for the gameplay you're supposed to have more often when you have the 2-ofs. As powerful of a card as Reno is.
And I
definitely like this 2-ofs.
I do want to shout out the one sort of silver bullet in the deck list, which is Razor Scale, the 3-mana 2/4 dragon that says cards cannot cost less than 2 mana. And I think that's a shout out to some of the sort of combo-y decks out there, the Nature Shamans, the Naga Demon Hunters, which they both also have in their lineups. So that's one of the ways that once you do get ahead, maybe you play that 3/5 taunt that refreshes your mana crystals, you can slap down that Razor Scale and feel a little bit safer into those decks that try and just play a bunch of cards in one turn and kill you out of nowhere.
And we already saw it come into play quite well. And we'll see if it can get the job done now. But we are going to see Meati on the Priest to kick things off. Pocket Train's going to be on this Demon Hunter. And I feel like Demon Hunter is probably the weak link in the lineup. Would you agree from both sides?
It's tough. It's one of those decks where the games where you pop off, it feels like nothing could possibly stop you. And then the games where you don't find Sharpshooter, you wonder why you brought it. Yeah. And so very much like Nature Shaman in that sense.
Except worse.
Well, it is more centered around one specific card that you need to draw, right?
Yeah. But going to be a lot about tempo in the early game. Priest really just wants a board or to stick a board to be able to kind of snowball. Pocket Train's going to be trying to keep this under control, not fall too far behind, and then get to that Sharpshooter turn as easily as possible. Already has board going into the Sigil of Time turn, which is good, very important. And Meati going to have not a dead turn, but not the strongest, just a cycle going on right now.
Yeah, and you're really hoping to pick up more draw off the Clergy, but I think going into this turn 3 where your opponent's really going to want to play a Sigil if they have it, and ends up paying off, is going to be able to get at least 2 draws here between Dreamboat and the Hero Power.
Yep. And Dreamboat ends up just being a reasonably sized threat coming into this turn.
I think it's a debate of whether to play the Mistake as well, just for a bigger minion off the Dreamboat.
I guess the question is, what could he possibly pick up that would change that play? But I think, okay. Maybe second Dreamboat would have been fine, but it is what it is. All right.
One distinct difference between Meati and Pocket Train's versions of the Demon Hunter is they've got Fellerin in there as well as going down swinging. So a little more capability of just like continuing to do stuff in the mid game. I suppose Rekfem also has that in his list since he played with them, but it's not present in Hemlock's or Levik's lists. And I do wonder if it just gives you that little bit of extra staying power in the times where you don't find Sharpshooter right away, where you can still make some of these powerful plays. Fellerin, of course, has the chance of giving you those wolves, which we saw can be very impactful. And of course, going down swinging, there's so many ways of buffing your attack that it just becomes sort of the perfect board clear for this type of deck. Thirsty Drifter coming into hand for Meati. That's kind of really the warping card that's changed how Naga Priest is being played. And funnily enough, with Pip the Potent, if the Thirsty Drifter is presently at 1 mana cost, you can get a copy of it.
That's but then you're not playing as, I guess the Thirsty Drifter, you kind of want to hold on to it to go really big on the board and not just play it piecemeal. But yeah, could be an option for next turn. Not a powerful turn by any means, though, for Meati currently.
It's the question of, tempo now or, a bigger swing later with the extra copy. And he's just going to be patient, not even playing the Dreamboat, since it wouldn't be getting a card or anything. It would just be a little bit of extra stats. And in full preparation mode here for Pocket, getting a coin, using it to play the Oscillator, which of course will discount any mistakes as a 0-mana Naga, and drawing another 3 cards to look for Sharpshooter. Here is that big swing turn for Meati, wanting to put as many stats in play as possible, going into the potential big pop-off turn from Pocket.
And it is going to be quite the turn. It also activates the Handmaiden in hand.
Yep.
So going to be able to draw going into the next turn, and is protected, like you mentioned, from the Sharpshooter turn. That's if Pocket Train picks it up.
It is funny seeing Valish come down just as a 1-mana activate wig, refresh 0 mana crystals, but decrease the cost of both of the drifters and activated. So, and the other one can be used for refresh on the following turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Sharpshooter means,
but did find
Pocket...
the going down swinging.
Yep. And I think that's just going to have to be used for the clear here. I think I almost wonder if you maybe wanted to Spectral Sight first.
So he wants to go max damage.
Oh, well, yeah, right. You can't squeeze in the hero power otherwise. No, not squeezing the hero power anyway. Oh, no, because this is just enough. Yeah.
With the double dispose, this clears the full board and pushes all the damage. So,
yep.
I see down, and even though there's no Sharpshooter, there's a Fellerin.
Yep.
That's resource generation much of the time to be played next turn. So, not bad.
My one thinking about potentially drawing before dispose is that then you can try and look for the Sharpshooter before you're shuffling in more cards into your deck. But
sure, okay, yeah.
It's really the most minute of probability changes. And with Drifters gone, even though Meati is able to build board back up with the Wigs and the Isnaga, a no taunt means you're not feeling the most safe staring at 6 power of minions on the other side. I think if this is going to be a Valish turn, then I think you'd want to be playing a little bit faster. So might just be Pelagos for maximum stats in board, and a threat that Pocket doesn't want to leave around.
Yeah.
It is our time to step out of the shadows.
Okay. Security lets Pocket Train deal with the Pelagos. This can deal with both. if you rush the Fellerin
Yeah.
in clean board, don't really get to push anything. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, okay. So removing as much power as possible while still maintaining the ability to push face. I think Pocket's realizing that just at this point, you know, with no sharpshooter, he's just got to try and push enough damage that if he picks up like a momentum or some of those other pieces of damage that he might be able to get there, and hoping that Meati doesn't have something crazy to do on the other side. But you do already know about these 2 wigs that are there, and now with the additional copy of Valish and the funnel cakes, I think there's no way that this isn't lethal.
Yeah, even the Mind Seer as well.
Yeah.
To throw in there for a little bit of extra damage is certainly enough to get this done. So, yeah, I mean, Pocket Train had the opportunity to go for that Pelagos kill, had the damage on board, but decided to push face instead. Your entire board. Then, you know, that's probably not a good situation in the ways of actually winning the game with the hand that he had. No sharpshooter. It was just like, what, Wayward Sage? And something else that didn't have an impact on the board. So
Wayward
can't really
Sage
blame
and
him
Mistake. So really the only
Mistake.
good draw was a sharpshooter to be able to do anything with that.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I can understand, like, well, if all Meati's got in hand is Pelagos and a couple of wigs and no activators, then maybe I can just push damage and get through. But of course, I think it was perhaps knowable that there was at least a Valish in there because of the Pip the Potent copies. But
Yep. And Valish and 2 wigs. The Serpent Wings in hand were not active. So Pocket Train may have also thought that there's no other Naga to reset these Serpent Wigs. And on top of that, you know, a Valish to keep on going. So, but he took the risk. Did not pay off, as Meati was able to secure the lethal and take game 1.
yeah, regardless, I think of who ends up taking this, these are certainly going to be some quick games, at least compared to some of the others that we've seen. Very, you know, board-focused, damage-focused decks.
Meati in game just looks like on borderline bored, right? Chair slouching, just playing, no facial expressions. And as soon as he's won a game or won a series, it's just like the ultimate pop off. Yeah, so funny. Like such a different person when he's in the game, thinking about his turns versus knowing that he won. So, all right, game 2. Here we go. Druid versus Druid. Let's play some minions.
Yeah.
Play some stats.
No whelps. But I think you do keep Snapdragon. Double Cactus Construct. You know, that card can sometimes solo games all on its own.
Oh, yeah.
Something is amiss here. No one has a whelp.
Yeah. Still time. Don't fret.
Oh, there
Yep.
it is. Okay. Pocket Train, clearly the better player. As represented by that top deck.
Yeah, what can you do, you know?
Of course, all of the competitors are tuned into this fact. The win rate of having whelp versus not having whelp for a druid is pretty astronomical. I think it is in the range of 60%.
Rolling Stone. Oh my gosh. The synergy.
It's a lot of stats.
It certainly is.
What
All
have
right.
you seen as like the best hit off of Cactus Construct?
I mean, it's hard to beat Rolling Stone, but in Dragon Druid, sometimes the I keep forgetting it adds at the end of your turn. It adds a 1/2 whelp in your hand.
Sure. Yeah.
Always forget the name. But that one can.
Whelp Wrangler or something, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one has very high upside, but it's not like immediately powerful like Rolling Stone.
I think my personal favorite is Stereo Totem.
Oh,
Because
yep. Okay, Stereo Totem's good. You double
Especially-
Stereo Totem and it buffs
Yep.
the Stereo Totem. Okay.
Exactly. You just got
Yeah.
a 1/2 that buffs on 1 into a 2/5 that buffs on 2.
Yeah.
Drink with me, friend.
You got me on that one. That's more powerful than Rolling Stone.
Just gonna,
Rolling Stone against like a tempo board matchup though is oftentimes very good.
Yeah,
But they can
very
play around it
solid.
because they know that it's there.
And this will help clean things up a bit. You can at least play one of the Nest Matrons into Spinetail. Play the buffed one, of course. And for all our talk of the Whelp, which... Oh, interesting. Opting, rather than getting the 5 damage battle cry, just gonna hold on to it here and use the hero power. Makes sense.
Yeah.
There's quite a few stats with the double refresh. Yeah, we talk a lot about the Whelp and the win rate off of that card, but second in the deck is, of course, Summer Flower Child, as that is what draws you your Dragon Golems, your Topior, your Fi, and Meati does have both of those, so...
Yeah, this is honestly like a whole lot of I don't want to say nothing. So there's a Golem, there's Topior as well. But like Twilight Drake and the Proto Drakes don't really have immediate impact on the board. I mean, sure they're relatively big in size, but that's can't really afford to be doing that when you're playing against the same deck that's just playing stats after stats after stats.
Yep. And discounted Alex Straza is quite good for being able to potentially seal things up. This is, of course, going to be the Innervate Dragon Golem, just to build a wall. Max board refill there with 7/3/4s. Doesn't have that extra buff that Meati's got on his minions, but it's still a pretty potent board swing.
Oh yeah.
Question here, I think, is whether Meati wants to, trade off a couple of his minions and then play his own Dragon Golem, or take things a little bit slower, use the Spinetail Drake.
If he really wanted to, could get another Flower Child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Innervate Hero Power Flower. Much immediate power on the board, but sets up for some more big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this deck, right, is you build these massive boards, but barring gaining the extra stats before the minion is played, it's not like you have a drum circle or anything to buff things up once they're already in play. So there's not immediate threat just out of these 3/4s themselves.
Yeah. About the setup turns and finding ways to push damage and keep up on resources. This would just be a full cleanup turn from Pocket Train, which looks to be quite strong.
Yeah. And a thing I want to note as well about this Brewmaster that was picked up. There's, of course, 2 Brewmasters you can hit off Cactus Construct. There's the Youthful and there's the Saloon Brewmaster. And what's so great about Dragon Golem is as long as one of them survives, you can Brewmaster it and get an entirely full new board later on. So I think that's probably one of the reasons that Pocket opted to pick that one up. Yep, and here it is.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Meati knew that was there because he saw the useful Brewmaster immediately, but still winces because seeing it in action is what drives it home.
I think normally there can be a risk of, okay, if you're the first person to golem, are you going to sort of lose in the ping pong in the end? But Brewmaster does give you that extra shot, and Pocket, because of these Time Lost Proto Drakes, just sort of had more dragons in hand for his golems anyway.
Yeah. Yes, incredibly mediocre Dragon Golem here.
Summons 3. There's maybe an argument for playing Cactus Construct first to try and hit like Fairy Dragon or something, but the hero power does clear up a minion, so that's sort of the more consistent option.
Just big minions just hitting each other. That's what Hearthstone's all about.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and they don't have great ways of clearing up a Fi, right? Besides just hitting minions into it. And
Yeah.
Neither of them, got the early Snapdragon down to buff up these golems or the Ajaran Gardens. So here we go. Dragon Golem number 3.
It's just something so like primitive about Dragon Druid mirrors. Just two players just trying to outstat each other.
Well, got a couple of rushes there.
Yep.
Could do Bunny Stomper with Snapdragon or just take the Razor Jaw.
None of these are incredibly impactful.
I don't know. I think opting to take the Stomper to use with the Snapdragon on a later turn, but just going to have to Alex away that Fi. And there's some Ajaran Gardens. A little late.
Oof. Little late, still potent.
Yep. Still adding quite a bit of value to Pocket's hand here. And feeling comfortable enough to just throw out the Snapdragon. Oftentimes...
Just making sure to spend all the mana.
Yep. Oftentimes, if you don't end up rolling it out on 3, then it just ends up sitting in the hand, as we've seen, because you already drawn your golems off of Summerflower Child or what have you, so it's sort of lost its value.
Yeah.
Meati has access to 8/8 into the 6/7, clear off the 4/4 and 3/4 with the Spine Tails, and hero power into the minion. That's kind of the best he's got.
Yep.
Gonna use the Stomper just to preserve some life, being low as he is. Oh yeah, because it would have been dead using the hero power.
And pressure's not stopping. I mean, it's starting to run a little low.
It is.
But still, it feels like enough stat.
And this is where there's just sort of taunt advantage, right?
I concede.
Yep.
And
That's gonna do it.
Yeah. Looked promising for Meati when there was a lot of stats on the board on like turn 4.
Yep.
And rolled into double Flower Child, but it just wasn't enough. I don't even know if the Whelp made like that huge of a difference. I guess it did, because a lot of the Dragon Golems come down and start that trade. But it was just the number of dragons in hand, the amount of resources that Pocket Train had access to, and the Brewmaster, the Cactus
Yeah.
Construct,
I think
really just drove that one home.
combination of both proto drakes adding an additional random dragon to your hand, doesn't even matter what it was. Topior gets 0 value in that deck, but just having more dragons in hand so that each dragon golem is a full board, and then of course the Brewmaster to be able to do it an additional time was just sort of a massive differentiator.
And just one last quick look at Dragon Golems hitting into each other.
Yep.
Before we move on to the next one. But when you have identical lineups like this, winning these mirror matchups ends up being pretty big. I don't think it's as big for the Druid as it is for, like, let's say if it was a Demon Hunter mirror, which I think this matchup's going to hinge more upon, but still got to feel good. And now we're basically down to a best of 3 with Demon Hunter on both sides, and then Druid on Meati side, Priest on Pocket Chain side, basically the decks that their opponent's already won with. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this came down to a Game 5 Demon Hunter mirror. Would not surprise me in the slightest. Yeah, I like how Pocket Train held up the wall.
It's like, one moment.
I'm gonna go fill this up.
Dear Malfurion.
My beloved Tyrande.
He pressed play though, so
Did indeed.
he's there. Okay, there he is.
I wonder how Meati will end up playing out this mulligan. I guess it's just throw everything back for Whelp. That seems to be the line.
A mistake.
Well played.
Thank you.
I suppose I can respect that, right? The Druid really does have just so many higher mana cards that the difference between Whelp and no Whelp is just so huge. And figuring, like, even if he does have something, even if he does have something like Snapdragon to buff things up, or take to the skies to draw additional stuff, being able to move into those 4-cost plays, right? Now being able to Spine Tail. I was going to say clear the clergy, but that's not even going to do it anymore.
Yep. Same with Pocket Train still quite strong of a board here.
I guess you clear the 3/4 instead. It is a 5-power minion in play.
What to do?
Sorry, 6 with the Gardens buff.
You have to. I don't think it's worth just sinking that damage into the cleric.
Location lines up very nicely, though. Does mean that it'll be very challenging at this point for Pocket Train to overheal the cleric if that was a thing he wanted to look into doing. Not going to be getting any more cards, but this is just such a board-based matchup. Both of these decks struggle if they fall behind too much.
Yep. And despite the strong start, Meati is going to be able to clean things up. Now back to square one.
Pip
For Pocket
for
Train.
extra wig and funnel cake. I think he wishes he had that clergy now, but
Oh, there we go.
and this is exactly what you're trying to do, right? Ajaran Gardens, Aquatic Form, pick up the other side, play the Sunken Gardens, and now these Dragon Golems are going to be pretty massive on curve. So barring
Lots of value trade.
barring some kind of funnel cake shenanigans, I don't know that there's a whole lot the Pocket can do.
find the truth.
You find the truth, Pelagos. You do you.
Oof, well, might need that next turn.
Yep.
Wow, and opting just to go for another location draw rather than Power of Creation. Oh,
It's big.
quite large. Yeah.
It's big. It's small.
We have a lot of desserts in hand.
Yep. Delicious serpent wig.
Oh no, not like this. Yep. I mean, I don't think there was anything else to be done. You just need to play stuff to activate the Handmaiden. I mean, that's part of why I was kind of looking at Power Creation on the Pelagos last turn, just because it's another spell played for the Handmaiden. It does have the possibility here of a bunch of Thirsty Drifters, which is sort of your own build-a-box dragon golem.
Yep.
And follow up with Amonthul.
Sweet, beautiful water. Sweet.
But I think Pocket knows that this, well, pretty decent, could just maybe not quite going to be enough.
There's a limited amount of dragons in hand
It's true.
for the second golem. Still a big board. The second one's not as buffed. Still buffed. 5/6s, I think.
So you can
Also, does have
click-
Deathwing as like, all right.
Yeah, I'm wondering
Emergency.
if it may in fact come down to Deathwing. I mean, we're rapidly approaching 10 mana. These ones are only 4/5s. So opportunity here, you know, clear with the Handmaiden plus location. Amonthul can take out 2 of them. Pocket trying to hang on for dear life with this taunt. Really, even playing an inactive wig, which I didn't expect.
Oh no. Ah, okay. This
Here's
is why.
why. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because just removing
Oh.
the 2/4/5s may not have been as strong as just making the copy of this giant minion. I like this play a lot.
Yeah. And the the Sitheno pickup, of course, if he is able to find the other wig, could make something happen.
Yep. It's a combo that you don't often get to partake in in the Naga Priest. Very interesting though, because you actually can buff it a lot easier.
I think what Pocket knows as well with the Amonthul here is, you know, one of the massively powerful things about Titans is their ability to give you additional value over turns. And so by copying a big taunt minion that can protect the Amonthul, just means that he gets to hang on to that value if the minions cannot be punched through. And yeah, now he gets to do that, remove 2 minions, and just continue to accrue value off of this effect. Old more legendary Cenarius is a pretty big pickup.
Is it enough damage? No.
I think not quite.
Yeah, can't reset the wig enough to get the attack. Like, I was thinking, oh, if you can get like 3 resets.
Yeah,
And- oh, the Deathwing.
Yep, 14 Deathwing. It does mean no more hand, so this is the final push. And while impressive, you know, Cenarius just for a couple of taunts plus the Thirsty Drifter is gonna be a bit of a bummer for that Deathwing.
Full power here. Pressure while he can. End this with the priestess at the very end, it looks like. Be able to just dump the hand.
Well, and he doesn't even have to play the scenarios for taunts this turns, right? He can just get the Drifter out.
Yeah.
That's what's going to protect his life total. He's at 30, so even if the Drifter's dealt with, he can afford to take a hit. And then the Scenarios just gets saved for, you know, buffing this board +2/+2 next turn.
Yep. Oof.
One of the better pickups.
Okay.
Yep. Hero Power and Fi will clear the taunt. Wow.
You want to push 14 here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he knows it's a board-based matchup. I feel like if you're going to trade it into something, though, you maybe trade it into the 7/6, though? I'm not sure.
I'm waiting. What to do?
Yep.
Okay.
Shard gonna remove that pesky taunt. Scenarios comes down for the buffs. And it's not lethal. But I think it is plenty of stats to just remove Meati's board here.
Nope.
Nope. Just go base, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Comes down
Yeah.
to this draw.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Take this,
Like,
guys.
what's Meati gonna do against a wide board like this?
So there is a taunt. Has to think if there's enough mana to play another Splish by Swelp, or if he has to hero power. The awkward part is you can only really trade off 2 minions just because of the 2/4 attack minions on board. You can only trade over 1 of the Miracle Salesmen. And then that should be enough damage going back the other way. Oh, I guess a hero power would... No, a hero power would still spell death.
Yeah, there's just no way to remove enough of the board here.
Yeah.
I think the Fi was really important for trying to allow me to stabilize, and the Silence taking away both the taunt and the life steal was just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And Bucket clearly a little bit stressed there, you know. Things were coming down to the wire just a little bit. Not sure whether that's disappointment in sort of his own play for some reason, or just sort of the clunkiness that is playing such board-based matchups into each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't spot anything like of his play. I thought that
No.
was pretty well done. I think that's just the pressure of the situation getting to him, maybe. Or, man, I almost lost kind of situation. But Pocket Trade now 1 game away from making that top 4, able to take a break at the beginning of the day tomorrow. And just watch.
Always a nice position to be in, right? When you can just sort of take your time, get a good meal in, take a look at what your opponents are doing.
Yep. Chill. But it is that Demon Hunter, though. So we'll see. Still have that feeling that we're going to see Demon Hunter Mirror Game 5. it's possible that Meati could just draw quite dead with this druid, but all it feels like is just kind of one bailout card. The toughest situation you can be in is if there's an early sharpshooter and you just have no answer for it. Your deck all like ramp setup cards and none of the big threats that you need or direct damage
You have much to answer for.
to be able to take it out.
Well, one thing about this Dragon Druid is that even though, it doesn't really have a ton of spells, you do have things like Amber Whelp and the Spine Tail to actually remove crucial minions, and with the 2 health nerf to the Sharpshooter, even the Amber Whelp will do it on its own. That being said, usually Sharpshooter comes out with a whole bunch of other minions. And with those sigils in play, I don't think Pocket is going to be just tempoing a Sharpshooter. Oof.
Good.
Yep.
Oh!
No. Oh, double whelp. Just what he wanted. I was gonna say, the Amber Whelp might have looked appealing there had Pocket not gone for the buff, but without it being able to actually clear, I think this means, that meant Meati just went for the Take the Skies and it picked up the 2 best draws. So you can throw out a taunt and a couple of 3/2s with ramp. And Dragon Golem's already online.
Yep.
Is he just fingers crossed? Oh, no Sharpshooter, and there's a Dragon Golem coming down. I think that's not quite what he ordered.
Who's hiding now?
All right. Hoping for no Dragon Golem, and then hoping that Sharpshooter is one of the draws off the sigil next turn.
Yeah, he's got 4 draws between turn and the sigil to pick it up, so. So now, how greedy does Meati want to play this? Because one advantage to the Dragon Golems is since they have Taunt, and if Meati thinks that he's not going to be dead here, he could go for something crazy like Flower Child into Gardens first. But yeah, this is certainly the safe play. Just get 4 Golems, try and take as little damage as possible off of the Sharpshooter turn.
Yep.
And you've got, Gardens, Whelp, Spine Tail follow up to clear anything dangerous, and no Sharpshooter. It's tragic.
Also weird. It's happened to him twice this series.
It is our time to
Just gets through to more than halfway through his deck, doesn't see a single Sharpshooter.
Oof. And you really don't want to bounce one of these Dragon Golems, as that's just going to present an entirely new board.
Yep.
I think Meati's feeling pretty safe at this point.
Yep. Even get a Flower Child down here, like Amber Whelp plus Flower Child, cleans things up nicely, still presents a very threatening board.
Yeah, or could even Flower Child and then play the Gardens to buff up the hand.
Also true.
Yeah, the Pocket
Pocket
just
trade.
makes faces at the camera like, what am I gonna do? I drew half my deck and no
Yeah.
Sharpshooter. Like, come on. Not even a Finley to. Oh, actually, this is a big difference between their list and some of the other players. Is there's no Finley to sort of mulligan, right? If you do draw half your deck and find no Sharpshooter, there's no Finley to sort of enter the upside down and find it that way.
Yeah. Rough. What's the draw? Oh, that'll do it.
Not even once. Well, you've got it out of the way now, and now this is what happens to Meati when you have to play the mirror, right? That's how that
Yeah.
works.
Yep.
My blood boils for war. You stink.
It's gonna remove some power off board. Does this protect him from Alexstrasza damage? No, it does
And
not.
it's just sort of the least offensive card to bounce.
Yeah. Highest power as well, but Alexstrasza will end it. That means we are going to a game 5. It is going to be the Demon Hunter Mirror. At least Demon Hunter has not taken every loss in this matchup. Only a couple. But that's what it's going to come down to.
It certainly seems to be the sort of weak link in the lineup. Perhaps just draw variants, but that's a big part of the game. And while the Demon Hunter can sometimes run away with it, it does also lose to itself at times. So
Yeah.
it's just the trouble in coming up with a fourth deck, right?
Yeah. It seemed to be a big issue for a lot of players. And there were many that settled on Demon Hunter. We've seen a lot of Demon Hunter on the day today. And it does have a lot of power. There's also a lot of sort of muscle memory built in from when it was like the dominant deck at the beginning of this meta, but less played now.
Yeah, of course, Paladin is the most popular, being in every single lineup, but Demon Hunter is not far behind, with 6 players bringing Demon Hunter tied with Druid at 6 Druids. But of course, there is variation among the Druids in terms of what kind there are. Whereas the Demon Hunter, apart from few card choice differences, is very largely the same.
Yep. Finley, Fellerin, going down swinging. A couple little choices here and there, but the core of the deck remains the same.
It's
Going down
basically-
swinging has impressed me today, actually.
It has, yeah. I think it gives you that opportunity to kind of reset and try and clear up a bunch of stuff before you go for that pop off. Or in the event that you've gotten a bunch of damage in and there's a bunch of taunts in the way that you need to get through, then it can also be effective in that sense when you're playing your last bit of attack damage.
Yeah. Like, for instance, in that game, going down swinging could have been fantastic if Pocket Train was able to pick it up on even the first sigil turn, right? Because had Dispose of Evidence in hand to be able to get the attack high enough to clear off the Dragon Golem. So, but alas, just in the past. It's time to move on to Game 5. Demon Hunter Pocket Train versus Meati. Winner moves on into the semifinals, into that top 4. Loser of this match still in the tournament. They are not eliminated. They just have to play an extra match in order to make it to the playoff stage tomorrow. So, big deal for a lot of players. Get deeper into the prize money too with just this win by playing one less series, which is always nice.
Pocket going for the full throw while Meati holds on to his Leather Spear. Greedy Partner is, I find, often like just a somewhat awkward card in this deck.
Yeah.
In terms of, not always being able to play it on 2 with it active.
Yeah. Like in this instance, Meati holding the Vicious Slither Spear just to make sure the predation doesn't get reduced so Greedy Partner can actually get a coin.
Exactly.
Awkward.
And classic mirror here, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be this and a hero power, clear up the Slither Spear before it can gain any crazy amounts of power. Imagine Pocket going to be going for this sigil. And it's a bit of a race to see who can find Sharpshooter first. both of them with the 2 coins from, various instances. Wayward Sage not like really doing anything with the discount here.
No. Oftentimes you want to be playing Momentum for 0 mana anyway, and
Right.
just giving it a little bit of help is not worthwhile. And 2 coins packed there on the right side is also not great. But playing it for tempo.
I mean, there's nothing else to be done, right? Like,
Yeah.
Meati's hand is just air.
Yep.
It's potentially crazy pop-off should he find Sharpshooter with the double coin, right? But Pocket was better positioned to do that with these extra cards, going for the Outcast card here. Wolf, we've seen, can sometimes be quite impactful, but you do almost have to pick it when you've already got a bunch of mana to play it. So otherwise, it's hard to keep it Outcast. We're going to go ahead and spend this coin just to shift around the hand, get this draw spell into Outcast position, and try and take back the board here from Meati. Pocket, of course, doesn't know that Meati's hand is air. He's just seen that it is, well and truly juiced with the coins should he pick up a Sharpshooter or have one. And we're just in full dig. There it is.
Well,
Well,
they come in
there they
pairs.
both are.
I was beginning to think, did he just forget to put the Sharpshooter in the deck? Because he's played this deck in 3 different games this series, and we haven't seen it a single time.
Now, it probably won't matter if Meati is not able to pick up his own Sharpshooter next turn, but I am looking at quite a lot of Naga already in the hand here for Pocket or in play. So could be a bit of a strange situation where the Sharpshooters won't even have Naga to draw. But there may just barely be enough left in the deck.
Yeah, there has been quite a few played, but a decent amount of mana to work with. A lot of cheap cycle.
Okay. Okay. So one of those that we had seen, was off of the studies. And Pocket opting to play the cheaper Naga in the mistake. Just kind of keep this chain going. But now there are no more Naga left to draw, and I'm wondering if maybe he should have thrown back the Wayward Sage instead, just to have something to draw there. I think that was a slight misstep. And he's just hoping there isn't a Sharpshooter on the other side, and it has forsaken Meati, so...
This is just... Meati, this is the first time playing the Demon Hunter, so he's got to get the bad hand, and there we go. He concedes nothing to do.
It's exactly how we
trade.
said. Pocket got the bad game out of the way. Meati still had his to deal with.
Yeah,
And,
just an atrocious hand through and through. But Pocket Dream was dealing with series, so that's the way it falls. That's what you get for the Demon Hunter deck when you're so all in on basically this singular card, especially in the mirror. It's just so volatile, and there can be back and forth games if both players are on equal footing with access to a Sharpshooter. But when you're not, you get games like that where it just looks a little bit miserable for one player at the end.
Yeah, and of course, we see sort of difference in player dispositions, right? Rekfam closes out his game. I'm so good. Pocket finishes his game. I'm so bad, right? You're just thinking about that mistake of not throwing back the Wayward Sage to often disposed to pick it up again. He's always very hard on himself, but he still gets there in the end. I think being that critical means you are learning from your mistakes if you can recognize when they happen.
Yeah, and those small mistakes can sometimes be all the difference. Pocket Train has experienced that firsthand, and sometimes it takes that experience in order to have that mentality of every situation matters, win or lose, right? You have to separate, your play from the result in a lot of cases in order to improve at Hearthstone. And that's always been the case. And the players that are able to do that and just have the ability to improve better and think critically, those are the players that make it far. And that's been the case for a while. All the way back to the 2014 World Championship. Firebat with his spreadsheets.
Yep.
The only player to actually think critically about the game instead of just jamming cards and smacking them into minions. The first player to think, maybe I can just ignore my opponent's minions and hit him in the face. Now it's come full circle to Pocket Train stomping a game of Demon Hunter and hating himself for it because he made one small mistake towards the end.
And
The
of course,
evolution.
we see here in Group B, Pocket Train, our first victor out of the group, throwing Meati back down. Meati will face the winner of our next match, CJ Kaka versus WeQ. And CJ Kaka, of course, is the Naga Mage player, but of course, after it got nerfed again, it's just here with the Sif Mage, the lowly Sif Mage, no Nagas.
Yeah. Both players have Mage in that series, so it should be an interesting one to watch. That's why I said we like this group. Deck lists are good other than Demon Hunter. But we're nearly done for day one here at the Hearthstone World Championship. We just have that one match remaining. One player will be eliminated, and one player will move on to that decider match tomorrow to face off against Meati for another spot in the semifinals. But before we jump into that match, we are going to have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. More action to come here from the Hearthstone World Championship.